A very good afternoon to all my dear students and welcome to the lecture of Entrepreneurship Development SY BBA Semester 3. I, Professor Shaurya Shah, welcome all of you to my lecture. Dear students, as you all are aware, we are on the last part of the unit and we are going to complete it in today's lecture. In the last lecture, students, we had seen the corporate entrepreneurship. We started with the meaning and definition. We completed the objectives and characteristics of corporate entrepreneurship, right? To say it in brief, students, what do you mean by corporate entrepreneurship? It is the process by which you develop the employees with a vision, with a mission, right, for doing something new, innovative in the existing organizational structure, right? So to develop each employee as an entrepreneur with the mindset of entrepreneurship and doing something new, innovating something, right? So that is known as corporate entrepreneurship in brief, right? This all we studied, students, with the introduction part. Definition also we saw. Then the need, why the corporate entrepreneur is needed, that we completed in yesterday's lecture. Objectives also, four main objectives: intelligent organizations, organizing around teams, then creating an entrepreneurial organization, cultivating innovation and creativity, that we saw. And the last thing which we saw yesterday, that was your characteristics of corporate entrepreneurship, right? Amongst that, I told you innovativeness and proactiveness is the most important and the vital characteristics. Fine. Now moving ahead, students, with today's part, right? The last part of the unit, again a very lengthy unit. We all completed that part. Fine. So starting with today's part, that is internal factors influencing corporate entrepreneurship, right? Now the factors may be internal, the factors may be external, right? External factors, as you all know, are not in control of ourselves, right? Because it is the business environment which controls the thing, fine? So internal factors are the most important that we need to control, which are in our hands, fine? The strength and weaknesses. Now what is the first part, students? The first is your compensation and incentive system. What do you mean by compensation and incentive system? It is the return, right? The reward which an employee is getting for doing something new, that is doing something, again we can say whatever work he is performing, whatever duties he is releasing, right? For that he should receive something more than the basic salary. Now basic salary is received by every employee, but what is the difference between an efficient employee, an innovative employee and a routine employee? Right? So compensation and incentive system is such a factor which affects the most to the working of an employee particularly, right? So if your compensation system, you are giving bonus to them, you are giving attractive returns, you are giving non-monetary incentives, you are giving again such kind of monetary incentives, you are giving social status. So all this compensation and incentive systems, if it is very much effective related to your target, right, this incentive system and compensation system should be linked with the target to be achieved. If an employee is achieved such a target, then he or she will get the benefit of such kind of incentive system. This will motivate the employees, their enthusiasm will be always at high, and they will try to achieve the objectives of themselves along with the organizational goals, right? So compensation and incentive system is one of the very much effective internal factor that we studied. Next, students, is your organization culture, right? What do you mean by organization culture? The work culture, the environment, again the surrounding with which the organization is working is known as your organizational culture, right? What type of employees you are having in your organization, what is their thinking power, what is their thought process, how do they think of each other in a team particularly, right? Whether they again attend the decisions or implement the decisions easily or not, whether they oppose or not, right? So all kind of organizational culture, there may be various types of organizational culture, but that also affects the corporate entrepreneurship. Just take for example, if your organization is such where every employee is trying to do the growth, right, of themselves also and of organization also, they are having a positive thinking, they are having again a supportive nature, they are coordinating very easily, they are again cooperative. So all those affects the organization culture of the firm, and the culture is developed where everyone tries to grow and also helps to grow others, fine? So such kind of culture is an internal factor for corporate entrepreneurship. Top management support, definitely, right? Any business, you all must have studied various levels of management, right? Maybe bottom level, maybe middle level, and maybe top level. But in a business organization, any decision taken should be support of top management itself, right? If top management is not supporting in any of the decision or in any of the work, then it is of no use, right? Because the financial resources, the management policies, everything is decided by the top management itself. So support of top management in any activity for implementing the innovative policies, for strategic renewal, for all that, it is a very much base, we can say, the vital thing. Next is your organizational structure, right? Now, what do you mean by organizational structure, students? It may be horizontal structure, it may be vertical structure, it may be type of organization. So, what is the type of organization, right? What is the structure? How much time it takes from for reporting from again bottom level to middle level to top level, and for information from top level to bottom level, right? Again, what is the type of structure? How many superiors are there? How many subordinates are there? How many HODs are there? Head of the departments are there? How many people you have to report, right? How many people you have to consult before taking any decision or innovativeness? So all these are your forms of your organizational structure. The superior subordinate relationship is the most important in developing such kind of thing, right? Just take for example, you have a boss, you have a superior who is never encouraging you to do something new, then the concept of your corporate entrepreneurship cannot come into the picture, right? So such kind of people, such kind of organizational structure is very much important for your corporate entrepreneurship. Next is students resource availability, right? Along with the ideas, right? It is said that once you get the idea, if you don't have the resources, that idea is worthless, right? So for implementing an innovative idea, for developing new products, new services, new market, for changing the entire strategy, you require certain resources. Maybe it financial resources, maybe human resources, maybe marketing resources. So all such kind of resource availability is again a precondition for success of corporate entrepreneurship. If it is not there, then you will not be able to implement your ideas properly. Next is your organization policies, right? What do you mean by policy? Policy is a set of rules which are to be followed by all the employees, right? So organizational policies are developed well in advance, on the basis of which your entire organization works, right? So students, those policies, if it is very rigid, then it will again lead to discourage the corporate entrepreneurship feature. If the organization policies are such that employees are motivated every now and then, they are being allowed to do whatever they want for the growth of organization, with innovation, with something new, with no startup. So for that, it affects the corporate entrepreneurship, right? So this is again an internal factor. And the next is, the last is risk taking and failure tolerance, right? Risk taking and failure tolerance, two related concepts are there. Risk taking, whether your employees, whether your business is ready to take the risk or not for doing something new, right? Because going apart from the flow is again a risk for any business unit. Maybe it's small business, maybe it's larger business. When you are diversifying, when you are changing your path from whatever you are doing, right? You are innovating, so there is a chance whether the plan will succeed or not, right? So again, if it is succeeding, then it is well and good. But if any failure takes place, then up to what level the firm will be able to tolerate the failure, right? Many a times it takes place that entire new company is formed up, the entire new product is developed, and it fails. So the loss is such a huge in quantity, in quantum, that the business is not able to tolerate that loss, right? Not able to tolerate that failure. So in that case, you need to again do the research, what kind of failure or what amount of risk can be calculated and it can be achieved, fine. So all these students, I hope you all are clear. All these are your internal factors influencing your corporate entrepreneurship, right? There are around 7 factors. The very first itself, the most important, is compensation and incentive system. Next is organizational culture, top management support, organization structure, organization policies, resource availability, risk taking, and failure tolerance, right? You need to explain those points. Hope it's clear to each and every student. 7 points you are having, fine. Moving on to the next part, students, is the barriers to corporate entrepreneurship, right? What do you mean by barriers, students? Means the hurdles, right? They are the hurdles through which corporate entrepreneurship cannot be achieved or cannot be developed. Fine. The very first among this is your resistance to change. What do you mean by resistance, right? Many a times it happens that conflict arises when any change is done in the organization. Many a times it takes place when a technological change comes into the business or any kind of generation gap comes into the business, right? So entire policy, when you change, it takes time for the employees again to get back into the new system, right? So by the time a resistance always takes place in order to oppose the change, right? Change is always for betterment. So whenever such kind of resistance takes place, corporate entrepreneurship cannot evolve and cannot again flourish, fine, because the new things which are to be implemented will be resisted by the employees, by the organization, so it will not be achieved. The next is inherent nature of large organizations, right? So what do you mean by inherent nature of large organizations, students? Large organizations, you are having n number of employees, n number of levels of organization structure, that is your management structure. You need to report it to more people. So again, the nature of large organization is such, if you want, it may be in two ways. If you want to again implement the policy, it will take a long time in implementing in entire organization, and there are chances for resistance to change. The second is, if you want to implement, you need to again convince many people, pursue many people above you, that is your superiors, management and everyone. So that the inherent nature of large organization is such, it does not adopt the quality of entrepreneurship, that is again rigidity is there, so it will lead to barriers to entrepreneurship. Next is your lack of entrepreneurial talent, right? As such, it looks very good that allow your employees to think more, to create more, innovative more. But such kind of entrepreneurial talent, is it available? First question. Second, if it's available, is it up to the level of which it is required? Third question, right? So if you see, actually out of your total employees, there are hardly 10 to 15% employees who are possessing those skills through which they can go through corporate entrepreneurship. They can develop themselves, they can do some innovative work, and then they can start, right, for a new pattern. So such kind of talent is, again, we are having a scarcity of that in organization. The next is your inappropriate compensation method. As I told you in the last slide only, the most important part is your compensation and incentive, right? Now, majority of the business organizations, whether it is large or small, there are inappropriate compensation method, right? So those compensation are not available to the employees, so that they never again think out of the box or create something new, because they know whether they are going to do the work or not, they are going to get the same reward out of it, right? So rewards and incentives are not that much attractive, which motivates and again boosts the morale of the employees, so that they can do much better, fine. So inappropriate compensation methods are also one of the barriers to corporate entrepreneurship. I hope it is clear. So the first amongst that was resistance to change. Second was your inherent nature of large organization. Third is lack of entrepreneurial talent, and the fourth is your inappropriate compensation methods. I hope each and every student is clear with this part, right? So this was your barriers to corporate entrepreneurship. Next, students, is your hierarchy of terminology in corporate entrepreneurship, right? So what is this hierarchy? Fine. You need to understand certain concepts, right? We'll be seeing one by one. The greater head is your entrepreneurship, right? I can divide entrepreneurship into two parts. The first is your independent entrepreneurship. Second is your corporate entrepreneurship, right? We studied just now the entire thing of corporate entrepreneurship. Independent, we started with the lectures of ED with this particular topic, fine. So again, corporate entrepreneurship, we need to study three things, that is corporate venturing, innovation and strategic renewal, right? So what is it? We will be studying in the coming slides. What do you mean by independent entrepreneurship, students? Once again, in a very brief way, independent entrepreneurship is the process whereby an individual or group of individuals acting independently create a new organization, right? As we saw, whether it is a small organization or large organization, independently a individual or group of individuals create a completely new organization, fine. The basic difference between independent and corporate is independent is creating a new organization, corporate entrepreneurship is existing organization only. Fine. So what is corporate entrepreneurship? It is the process whereby an individual or a group of individuals in association with an existing organization create a new organization or instigate renewal or innovation within that organization only. Right. Again, the new organization which is also formed is related to your old organization only. Fine. So that is the basic difference between them, and here it is mainly the innovation and the renewal is done within the organization only. Right. So that is the basic meaning of independent and corporate entrepreneurship. Moving on to the process of corporate entrepreneurship, right? Three things we need to study in detail, that is strategic renewal, innovation and corporate venturing, right? But before that we need to study corporate venturing. I hope it is clear. Fine. So what do you mean by corporate venturing, students? It refers to the corporate entrepreneurial efforts that lead to creation of new business organization or division within the corporate organization, right? Venturing. We had studied the concept of joint venture 2 lectures back. Fine. So what do you mean by venture? Venture may be any kind of new business which is again run by the existing organization. Fine. So it refers to the entrepreneurial efforts that lead to creation of a new business organization or division within the corporate organization within. Fine. They may follow from or lead to innovations that exploit new markets, new product offerings, or both. Right. So again, this corporate venturing may be leading either to innovations or exploit new markets or new products offering, or both. Fine. I hope it is clear, right? So just take the example of your Patanjali Ayurveda Limited. Fine. Again, a very common example. They were only into the business of medicines. Yeah, few years back when the Patanjali Ayurveda Limited was working, they were manufacturing the Ayurvedic medicines. Now they have again exploited the new markets. They have entered into the FMCG market few years back, again giving a competition to Hindustan Unilever and Dabur India Limited, right? So they are now producing shampoos also, soaps also, again we can say gels also. Fine. Again they are producing new product offerings. Fine. They are into the again we can say Patanjali Paridhan is one of the companies which is run by Patanjali Limited. They are producing the clothes particularly, right? So again it may be exploiting new markets, new products or offering, or both. Fine. This venturing efforts may or may not lead to formation of new organization units that are distinct from existing organization units in a structural sense, right? So it may or may not lead to a new organization, but existing organization only works in different areas, right? Fine. So I hope corporate venturing is clear to you. Now there are two types of corporate venturing, students. Amongst that, the very first is your external corporate venturing. The name itself says external, right? What do you mean by external? External corporate venturing is the activities that result in creation of semi-autonomous or autonomous organizational entities that reside outside the existing organizational domain, right? External, the name itself says, it is the kind of corporate venturing it is done. We understood the meaning of corporate venturing. It is a kind of corporate venturing done which may be created as a semi-autonomous, right, working on their own and also taking again the guidance, or again will be under the control of their parent organization, or it may be autonomous organization, right, working on their own only, so that reside outside the existing organizational domain is known as external corporate venturing. Fine. Potential outcomes may be joint ventures, right? You create a joint venture with some another company. Spin-off, what do you mean by spin-off, students? It is a type of corporate transaction forming a new company or entity, right? Existing company you are having, from that you spin off, right, a new corporate company. Then either it may be venture capital initiatives. Fine. I hope it is clear. So that is external corporate venturing. Internal corporate venturing, again another type, right? What do you mean by internal? It refers to the activities that result in creation of organizational entities that reside within an organization domain only. Fine. So internal and external. External means out of your business organizations you are creating something new. Here within the organization only you are doing corporate venturing. Fine. The potential outcomes may be integration or new division, right? Within the business organization you are creating some of the new divisions that may be related to other departments, that may be related to other companies, or you are integrating your business with a current vertical integration or horizontal integration. I hope it is clear. So these are your two types of corporate venturing, internal and external. And moving on to the second part of your entrepreneurial process, right? So it is your innovation. What do you mean by innovation, students? You must have many a times heard the term innovation, right? Innovating continuously. What is innovation? Innovation is the implementation of new or significantly improved product. It is the implementation of a new, it may be a completely new product or significantly improved product or a process, a new marketing method, a new organizational method in business practices, workplace organization or external relation, right? Innovation means here we are not limiting it only up to the particular product, right? It may be a new product, it may be a service also, it may be a process also, it may be a new marketing method, or it may be a new organizational method in business practices, right? So all this are related to your innovation. Innovation is the development and use of new ideas or behaviors in the organization. Hope it's clear, right? So innovative thought, we can say, innovative methods, we can say. So all those things are used particularly here. I hope it is clear to all of you. Fine. And the next part of the process is your strategic renewal, right? What do you mean by strategic renewal? Dear students, it is the efforts that result in significant changes to an organization's business or corporate level strategy or structure. We all have studied the strategic planning in this unit only 2 lectures back. Fine. So what is it? It are the efforts. Again, we can say these are the efforts where significant changes to entire organization, business or corporate level strategy or structure is done, right? So strategy is always related to your long-term changes. It is always related to your entire organization. This changes alter pre-existing relationship within the organization and its external environment, and in most cases will involve some sort of innovation, right? Again, it alters the existing relationship and in most cases involves some sort of innovation, right? So you are changing your strategy according to your business environment. Renewal activities reside within an existing organization and are not treated as new business by the organization. Fine. As such, renewal activities remains within the organization because it is for the organization. Again, external factors are not affecting it. Fine. So it may be within an organization and are not treated as new business by the organization. Your existing organizational structure remains intact. You are just innovating or you are just changing the policies. No new business organization is created. Fine. So I suppose it is clear to each and every student. Fine. So what we have done today, students, is your corporate entrepreneurship. We started with the internal factors, 7 factors influencing your corporate entrepreneurship. Then we saw the 4 main barriers to your entrepreneurship. Then the hierarchy of terminology, we completed all this part. Fine, you need to study it in brief. The process, it is known as, and the strategic renewal. I hope it is clear. Fine. So this was your unit 1, students. We have completed, right? Again, a very lengthy unit, but each and every topic you need to do it in brief. Fine. So this is the syllabus of unit 1 we completed, right from the evaluation of concept of entrepreneurship. Then we saw John Chaos model also, idea generation, identifying opportunities and evaluation, building the team leadership also. We saw the characteristics in detail, strategic planning, stages in strategic planning, forms of ownership, we saw very first beginning lectures, right? Sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liabilities, so on and so far. Franchising also we saw. Then we saw the various growth policies. We saw again the checklist for franchising, financing entrepreneurial ventures, valuation of new company, harvesting and exit strategy, and the last is corporate entrepreneurship, right? So students, in around, this is the 10th lecture for entrepreneurship development. We have completed the entire unit. Fine. You will be getting the notes for the chapter very soon. There will be again a surprise quiz. I have already announced it in yesterday's lecture, right? On the day of lecture only you will come to know on which day the quiz is. So please start studying for your chapters. The notes I will provide you all for all the unit which we have done very soon, right? So you can start preparing for the quiz. It will be around it will be completely MCQ and online, so you need to enter on the day of lecture. The timings will always be the lectures timing only, right? So you'll not be allowed to appear for the quiz, for the test, after the lecture timing is completed. Fine. So mind well, study well. Any doubts, any queries, you can put up in Google Classroom. We are there to help you out, students. Fine. So I suppose we have completed the entire unit 1. From the next lecture onwards, we will be starting with the second unit of entrepreneurship development. Fine. So again, you can prepare the notes on your own also. I will give you the guidelines for that, fine, so you can start studying. Thank you for your attention, students. Have a great day ahead. This is Professor Shaurya Shah teaching you corporate entrepreneurship in your entrepreneurship development subject. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.